And here we have the Literary Performance Challenge for week number 5. Begin. Paragraph. There is a man in one of our prisons who we will call Willie, period. He has already put in 25 of his 45-year sentence looking at the world through bars, period. He will probably be just where he is now for the rest of his life, period. He is in prison for the 4th time, comma. So the chance that he will ever be free again is very slim, period, paragraph. Willie did not get a very good start in life, period. After he was first born, comma, neither of his parents paid much attention to him, period. His father was shot by a police officer who caught him robbing a store when Willie was 8 years old, period. His mother drank a good bit, comma, and would always beat him when she was drunk, comma, which was all of the time, period. To get away from all of those beatings, comma, Willie began to stay out on the streets with anyone he could find, period. Partly because he never got enough rest or enough proper food, comma, and partly because he was not very bright, comma. Willie did badly in school, period. By the time he was 13, comma, he was still in the 3rd grade with children who were half of his size, period. He was very ashamed that most of those children could do almost anything better than he could, period. There was only one way in which he could feel better than they were, comma, and that was by beating them up on a regular basis, period, paragraph. Everyone was always picking on him, period. The teachers, comma, the truant officer, comma, and almost all the people he saw would make fun of him in one way or the other, period. The owner of the corner store had to chase him away every day because he would be caught stealing fruit and candy, period. The police officer who walked those streets always suspected Willie if something funny had gone on in the neighborhood, period. And so, when Willie got into serious trouble when he was only 15, comma, there was no one who stood up for him or said a good word about him, period. Even his mother was glad to see him sent to juvenile hall so he would not be bothering her, period, paragraph. Willie was just a scared young person, comma, but he put up such a front that no one could tell, period. He tried everything he could to show them that he was tough and was not afraid of anyone or anything. But the guards had seen tough boys before, comma, and they did everything they could to show him that they were tougher, period, paragraph. When Willie got out of custody a few weeks later, comma, the deep welts on his back were almost healed, period. But there were other scars that would never heal, period. From that day forward, comma, he had a deep hatred for all prison guards, comma, all police officers, comma, and for all people who represented the law and those who lived by it, period. From that day on, the only people he trusted were those who had suffered what he had and who shared his hate, period. From that day on, he became a model prisoner, because he knew he would never be good for anything else, period, paragraph. During one of the few times that he was out of prison, he found time to marry and become the father of a son, whom we will call Junior, period. This young boy started right off in his father's footsteps, period. It was the same story of neglect at home, of skipping school, of stealing, of warnings, and then trouble that was too serious to overlook, period. It became necessary to send Junior to the same juvenile detention center in which his father had been held earlier, period. He developed the exact same attitude that his father had, period. He would show them all, period, paragraph. But over the years, this school had changed, period. There were no bars, no cells, no sharp wire around the place, period. Junior thought this was just too easy, period. All he had to do was walk out of the place and hop on a freight train and leave, period. He tried to explain his idea to the other boys, and they just laughed at him, period. It had already been tried, period. The police officers always brought you back, and as a result, you lost all of your privileges, movies twice a week, and a weekend at home every 2 months, period, paragraph. Junior lived in a small cottage with 30 other boys and a house father and mother who knew how to be firm without being harsh, period. For the first few days he was there, Junior thought they were just putting on an act to impress him because he was new, period. They never fought like his parents did, period. They never yelled at the boys, or threw things at them like his own parents did, period, paragraph. For the first time in his life, Junior knew affection, although at first he did not understand it, period. For the first time in his life, he came to know adults he could trust and respect because they trusted and respected him, period. He was put in a class of boys who were his own age, but no further along, period. He didn't feel the humiliation of seeming dumb in front of smaller children, period. He would never like school, period. He didn't like to study, period. But he did get along much better than he had in public school, period, paragraph. What he did love was the woodworking shop, period. To see the wood take shape under his tools was great, period. All his life he had been a failure at everything he had tried to do, period. Here was something that taught him the joy of achievement, period, paragraph. During the time that Junior was in this school, comma, a parole officer back home had been making a careful study of his family and neighborhood background, period. When he got to the point that he could be safely released, comma, the parole officer had arranged for him to live with an aunt who would give him a good home in a different part of the city, period. He also talked a cabinet maker into giving Junior a good job, period, paragraph. Now, comma, 6 years later, comma, Junior is doing well, period. He is happy in his work, comma, engaged to a nice girl, comma, and shows every promise of leading a useful, comma, normal life, period.